Hello and welcome to the College Place School District Microsoft Distance Learning. And I'm excited to roll out both opportunities to develop mastery and gain certification in both Excel and Word. And I'm going to be doing this from an Excel standpoint, just kind of as an orientation to kind of how things are going to flow here. But the Word will be, of course, very similar in the way it's set up. So what's going to happen here is this is going to be fueled through Google Classroom, although the work is actually going to be done in a variety of different other online tools. Google Classroom is just kind of an organizational conduit to complete these assignments. So here's how a typical chapter will go. So with Excel, for example, you're going to be expected to cover, and you're going to need to cover 7 chapters before you take the Excel certification exam here in the College Place High School 236 Computer Lab. First of all, every lesson starts out with a demo. I'm just going to go through the Google Classroom here for Excel, and you go through a demo, and there is a start file, which might even be anything from a blank file to one with already has data in it. And you're going to go through the skills. Now, you don't necessarily have to actually work through it if you're feeling fairly confident about like introductory stuff. But the more we get into these various chapters, you are probably going to want to have the video up. And I would suggest, unless you have like a computer with 2 screens, it might be helpful to have the video on like a smartphone from Google Classroom, and then actually have your screen dedicated to working through these various demos. Now, ordinarily, when I'm having students, I have them in class, we pull up something on the screen, we all work together, and this is like a non-graded activity, okay? Also, it would be very helpful if you had a learning packet, which has these demos, which has the instructions for the projects in it. So I'll be developing learning packets for these classes. I already have a Word learning packet for first trimester, and I can quickly develop one for Excel as well. So a paper packet with some of these handouts, which would be very helpful rather than like having screens and having like 4 different documents up. So you're expected to go through the demo, and I again have YouTube videos up here to walk you through these demo lessons with a start file. And this PowerPoint is kind of like my curriculum or like my textbook, which again, if you have the demo packet, the learning packet, you just would have a paper version of that. It says it's a PowerPoint file, so it's a series of instructional handouts which go through the demo. So a typical chapter, you would go through the demo. Then you would go into something called Skills Assessment Manager, or SAM. And again, I'm just using Google Classroom as a conduit. The work actually isn't done in Google Classroom. It is done in the Skills Assessment Manager, also known as SAM. And you're going to be given a login to SAM, and you will then access, for example, here's a practice exam where you will go through, anywhere from 20 to 30 skill-based questions, not like multiple choice, but where it asks you and walks you through, asks you a question on to do this task, and you have 3 attempts to complete that task in SAM. And you'll get a little bit better understanding of SAM if you watch these orientation videos like orientation to Skills Assessment Manager, navigating the Gmetrix environment. I'm going to talk about that here in a moment. But they'll do a practice exam in SAM. Preferably, you should be getting 90% on these practice exams. And you'll have 3 tries per question. And if you get stuck, maybe miss the first 2 attempts, you're down to your last try, you can pull up my accompanying video from YouTube to get help on specific questions. Of course, I'm available if you want to like Zoom, or if you're nearby, we could chat about it, whatever, if you need some help. All right. So that's the practice exam where you're practicing those skills that we just went through in the demo. And like I tell my students, be very deliberate about finding holes in your learning. Because if you're getting like a 70% on the chapter 1 practice exam, we already have some big holes to start out with. So trying to fill those gaps to begin with. Then you're going to work on a project that you will download from Skills Assessment Manager, also known as SAM. And again, I've got a YouTube video. In this case, it's split up between 2 YouTube videos that if you have questions on the project, I walk you through that in the video. I would suggest not using the video as a crutch, but as a resource. So there's a little bit of struggle involved here, a little bit of like figuring it out. And only use the videos if you're like stuck and really don't know what to do. Don't use it to do like spoon-fed learning, as be my suggestion with those videos. And here is a handout or instructions on how to do the project. It's a series of anywhere from, say, 12 to 18 tasks that you will apply to a project file. And again, it's very important you start out by watching this video up here called Orientation to Skills Assessment Manager, so you get an understanding how projects work. You will download a project, you will work through the tasks. I have the electronic version here, but again, I can develop a learning packet for Excel and print those out so you have that in paper version as well. You'll then go through those tasks, complete the project, save it, and then you'll turn it in for grading into SAM, Skills Assessment Manager. Again, Google Classroom is just a conduit. It's not where you turn it in at. And like I do with my students, it's a 90% pass-fail. So my expectations are if you get like a 70% in your first attempt, SAM will give you feedback on, okay, this is what you missed, this is what you need to correct. You go back to your original file, make the corrections, save it, and resubmit. And in SAM, you have 5 grading attempts, and it's pretty much self-driven. And probably most of you should be able to get 90% on a project in, at most, 3 grading attempts. And again, I walk you through SAM up here in my introduction videos up here at the top. So again, we're going to complete a project. For each chapter, you want to spend some time. Let me just pull up SAM here really quick for starters. I'm going to log into SAM here and just kind of show you what SAM looks like from student view. Again, I have this in my orientation as well. But when you log in, it's going to take you to a calendar, which I don't even use. I have this activity list over here. And here you have a variety of practice exams, projects, and quizzes. And the practice exams and the quizzes you can isolate by unchecking training and unchecking projects up here to just show practice exams and quizzes down here at the bottom. If you want to just see projects, you click on projects, uncheck trainings. So like the chapter 1 project for Excel would be right here, Excel chapter 1, lab 1, and you would then work from that particular file, and you would download a start file and all those things, which again, I cover in that orientation to SAM. That's also where you're turning it in for grading, as I mentioned before. Then I have this thing called Gmetrix, and Gmetrix isn't necessarily curriculum. It is a test review software. So throughout the chapters, it'd be very helpful if you could spend at least 40 minutes a week working in Gmetrix. Gmetrix is a software that I will give you access to along with SAM. And because you're working probably on school computers, you can download Gmetrix to your computer and install the software. Back to SAM really quick. SAM is just web-based. You don't need the software for SAM. Gmetrix, you have to have the Office software in order for it to run. And rather than going back and forth between home and school and whatever, you can probably install this at home as well. But I can walk you through that if you get stuck in the installation process. But if you're at school in particular, it should be fairly easy to install this Gmetrix practice test software. And again, I walk through this in the video up here, navigating the Gmetrix environment. I'm just kind of showing you up front here what Gmetrix looks like. And again, it is a practice software that you can use throughout your learning process. Just kind of get additional exposure to a variety of skills and tasks which you're eventually going to see in that certification exam. All right. And again, with the kids, I don't grade Gmetrix. We're preparing for the exam throughout the learning process, which is typically a trimester. So again, that's Gmetrix on a very brief basis. I suggest that with distance learning, you get at least like 40 minutes a week in on Gmetrix. Then finally, there will be a quiz. Now the quiz covers, back to the practice exam, 20 to 30 questions you'll see on the practice exam. I pull 10 of those questions out, the practice exam, and I give you a quiz on those 10 questions that represent that bank of questions that you covered in the practice exam. They are not the identical questions. They are the same skill, just a different scenario. And that is also a timed quiz, which kind of simulates what the timing on the Microsoft certification exam is going to be. 10 questions in 12 minutes. Have you really independently shown mastery for that particular chapter? And I also suggest too, especially as you get later on into the chapters, after doing the practice exam and the project and doing a little bit of Gmetrix, I would go back and go through the practice exam again, which the second time through will go by way faster before I did the quiz. That almost guarantees you success when you are faced with those 10 questions on the quiz. Make sure you've locked down your learning for that particular chapter. And that's what a typical chapter looks like in Excel, same as Word. Again, I'm going to post this on the Word class as well. And then finally, at the end, you're going to do a series of review tasks in both SAM and Gmetrix, whether you're doing Excel or Word. And then finally, you are going to take the Office Excel or Word certification exam in the College Place lab here with a product called Certiport. And Certiport, you're going to develop a profile. And again, this is the big boy Pearson VUE, whatever independent testing center you might go to and spend between $100 to $125 to test. It's free here at the high school. And you can then get professionally certified in that particular software. And passing that exam, which is a 700 minimum out of 1,000, is a basic expectation of this class. In other words, if you want the clock hours, you got to pass the exam. All right. In addition to completing your log on the hours and proof of that and all that good stuff. So that is the briefest flyover I can give you. In this case, it's the Excel environment. The same things would also be true. Just substitute Word for Excel and you got it. Okay. And if you have any questions in this process, either before you sign up for it or during, I'm available to help out. I'm excited that we're going to be improving our Microsoft skills here in our district as a result. Have a great day.